All right, wonderful. All right, welcome, welcome. We got some people filing in. Hi, everyone. So I opened this just about a minute early. We're kind of approaching 11 o'clock over here in Colorado. But we're going to give it a minute, make sure that people have time to join in. That way, we're not getting too far ahead of people hopping in and wanting to hear what's going on. So just so you know as well, we're going to leave chat open, Q&A as well. If you have a question related to the conversation that we're having, especially, when I'm talking or Jordan, who will be taking over soon, we are more than happy to do that. The Q&A is the best way for our moderators to get to you to have that chat. But if there's anything on the side or whatever else, the chat is totally open for you all. So we'll be interacting and keeping an eye on that throughout the presentation. And yeah, make sure you're asking questions. We are here. We do have a team who's ready to respond to you as well. So if we don't get to it immediately, I promise you we have someone on the other side who's either looking to see how we can reach out afterwards or just making sure we can get the best answer for you. So once that number comes down a little bit, we'll kind of talk about, really what we're here for today. But the biggest thing we do want to cover is just keeping you all up to date, what Hudu's been introducing, and some cool things down the road. But I'll hold off on too many details before we start, so that way I don't give away all the fun. But let's see as well. So who we got joining us today? Seems we have a pretty good number of people so far. Oh, but yeah, I know we have some announcements. I'll have to leave it up to you for that, Jordan, before I get too far ahead of myself. We do have it slowing down a little bit. So how about instead of letting it go too past the time, we kind of just get going. Thank you, Alan, for the comment. We super appreciate that. Yeah, and just so you know, guys, we are here. We do have also some other members of Hudu who are moderating. So, feel free to let us know and chat with us. We're always happy to. All right, but how about this? Without further ado, let's just jump into it today. So, kind of going into introductions, I am Sam. I'm one of our customer success managers. I'll be walking you through what Hudu has released, and I'll also be answering some questions on product and items while Jordan is chatting. So, Jordan, if you want to introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, hey everybody. Welcome. Thank you for coming to the webinar. Really excited to go ahead and show off some of the things that we've been developing, we have in progress, and we have upcoming. My name is Jordan Hart, by the way. I'm the product manager here at Hudu. Yeah, thanks for joining.
Awesome. Yeah. So as we kind of hop into it, so today we're really going to be talking about the features from 2.28 and 2.29. We have some items around the mobile app and browser extension, and we will be going into Hudu Assist. So that was just released recently. We'll be showing you exactly how it works with one of our integrations. So that way you can kind of see how it's used live. But just letting you know, these are kind of the conversation topics we'll be focusing on and all the features around it. So starting off initially, we have IPAM. So this is going to be your IP management so we can track the utilization, documentation, and also still including those share features that Hudu has built in throughout your whole environment, making sure that the assigned IP addresses, the statuses along with them, and the information we need to know is all centralized within your instance, and making sure that we can maintain those important relationships so that way, again, you always know where the information you're looking for is easily connected. Now, the next one we're going to talk about is going to be, whoops, sorry, getting ahead of myself. Is going to be rack management. So rack management is going to be a full visual mapping of those server racks that you're building out, making sure that you're mapping it to existing documentation and items. And again, making sure we have a utilization rate and the additional details that we look for. Now, with these two, I know I'm kind of talking about the big overview, but I'm also going to show you kind of how they look in our demo system. So those who haven't quite used it yet are still looking into what more they want to learn. I'm actually going to show it in our system now. So I'm going to throw that up on screen so that we can just kind of browse through that together. Now, if Zoom wants to make sure I can actually see, we're on. There we go. So right here, we just have our main demo instance, and I'm just going to click into one of our existing companies. So here with our network and rack management, we have some backend items within the admin to make sure that we're setting things up properly. We have the right details that we need, and that all culminates to managing your IP addresses and these items. Now, the great thing about this as well is while you're managing and building these out, Hudu takes the extra step of also authenticating based on the range that you have set up. So as we're configuring these items, we're determining our net mask and all of the things that we need around managing this network. We can make sure it's consistently validating each of those steps. Now, what exactly I mean is when we are within our system, we can see the details, the number of usable IP addresses, and the extra benefit of making sure that if someone's adding a new network, like if I take this from the top, and since it is /28, if I add something like 18 and we tried to add that to our system, it is outside of our range. So we're reinforcing the items that you're adding information that's correct into Hudu, we're validating it. And then, as I mentioned before, building those relationships with your existing information within Hudu. So the desktops, the other configurations and items that we have already within Hudu can have that direct assignment of your IP addresses. And then next is going to be the rack management. So this will be a full map of utilization, power draw, those extra details of what we're managing and the exact position as well. So here we have certain items saying which sections they're in. If they take up multiple rows, we can make sure that we're allocating the right amount of space, also associating the power draw. So that way with the individual entities we have here, we also have the full utilization, as I mentioned before. And very much like that IP access, if we have specific devices within Hudu that we are already associating with, we can make sure that we maintain that relationship. So, clicking into the switch, for example, I'm right here. I can see the exact positioning of this item. So if you have devices coming from a integration, we have those details, and then we can also physically map it to bring as much clarity as possible to those entities and the documentation within Hudu, of course. But I'm going to switch back now over to our slides, and so we can talk about the next items that we've introduced since our most recent updates. So as I switch over here, we also introduced a list and KB history. Now, lists allow us to standardize the types of items that we're adding to our fields. This did replace our drop-down item. So that way now, if we have certain days of the week, certain configurations, permissions, or level of importance, we can standardize that utilization. And it comes with additional benefits like multiple that fit within that category. We can have multiple options and making sure that we're redeploying that list, making it easier to use the items you've already created in other assets. And then the other part too is the KB history comparison. So what this does is it has a more in-depth view on what's changed within your KB articles, and will also highlight it in your source code as well. Now, these items we're kind of just briefly going over because we have lots of other cool stuff to go into. But if you're curious about any of this, you want to see more as well, again, please don't hesitate to throw that into the Q&A or just send us a message in chat, and we'll be keeping an eye on all that. And then next we have our ConnectWise integration expansion. So this was doing a lot of bringing in new client sites, adding additional filter options, auto archive, and auto renaming as well. Now, the reason that we're also pointing this out is because while it is in ConnectWise now, we'll also be seeing these features come over to the other integrations. So if you're not using ConnectWise, don't worry. We're still maintaining that form where our integrations get the same treatment. They get those updates, but you can kind of see what is to come next. So if you're using other PSAs, you'll notice, or RMMs, of course, we'll notice though that those options will be there for you as well. Then finally, we have our mobile app in this section. So here we've added new processes to the app, quick sections, and some UI updates as well. Now, with many items like our mobile and our browser extension, we are always updating and adding new features to those items and making sure that we are bringing in those features that are incredibly useful in your instance and over to mobile. So that way on-site technicians or those users who benefit from things like specific processes that maybe have a little bit more to them that would be helpful for those detailed explanations. Now, before we wrap up on kind of the already released, I'm also going to show you the new Hudu Assist feature. So for those who are unaware, Hudu Assist is a extension to the browser extension. And what that will do is bring that documentation from your Hudu platform into other systems. Now, currently the compatibility is with Halo, Synchro, Ninja, and Autotask. Now, with other items, we are going to be bringing over that compatibility to other integrations, but initially this is releasing for the Chromium-based browser extension and allowing those current integrations to bring over. So I'm going to share that over so we can kind of look at how it connects with your system. And for those who do have it, make sure that your instance and everything is up to date, and you'll see it automatically deployed in the instances that are compatible. So give me a moment while I pull over this other window. And we're going to be using Halo in this case, just because it's one of the examples that I do have. Now, Hudu Assist is going to bring in the entities coming over for specific assets. So in this case, I have a contact within my Halo PSA, but I want to know what else is logged with this individual. Hudu will have a quick little access window, so that way we can see what are the related items, what passwords are attached to them, do they have any files, processes, comments, all of the things that we already benefit from our Hudu instance, and we get a quick window of that context. Now, I can launch this entity in Hudu at any time, but I think I should better focus on the expanded feature. Now, in this case, it's loading in the data. We have our passwords connected automatically. So if there's any sort of credentials that are relevant here, I have access to those with the quick access. So I have my OTP, username, copy password, and if I want to see further details, I can click into each of these. The other part too is going to be the related items. So in this case, we see that we have relevant articles here. We also have certain websites, what processes are being worked on, even certain photos and files. So again, we're trying to maintain that the information that you've already recorded within Hudu can still maintain that single source of truth and benefiting within other platforms. The great thing too is we can open up these specific entities. So let's say I want to look at a quick access for an article, I can quickly view it. That way I can stay within this section if I don't want to leave Halo, the PSA or RMM or whatever you're working in, and just stay within that single system. The other benefit too, though, is if I do want a larger view of this, I can always open in a new tab and it will take me directly to this article that was related to that entity before. So we always have the option of directly going right into our Hudu instance for those specific related entities that we're looking for and already viewing. Now, that does kind of wrap up the initial point of the what Hudu's released in these last couple months. So now we do have a couple moments to talk about these features that you're curious about, other items. And if you have a question, please throw that into the Q&A so that way we can answer it. I may also show off some features live if there's anything you're curious about from the content that I shared. So let me get that back over so that way we have a better view. Now, again, we also want to make sure that you know that if there are other questions around some items, we are still available. We do want to make sure that we're talking about the current releases and other features and items. But Jordan, which I'll hand off to you in a moment in case we don't have too many questions, but we'll make sure that we talk about some cool features coming up.
Yeah, we got a question about new search kind of being revealed. So not going to touch on that too much in my section of it. We are making search improvements pretty much in every update, and we do have some major ones that are coming in the future. We're hoping to kind of hit those Q2, Q3 timeframe, but have been making some significant upgrades to the search kind of periodically through the updates. If you don't mind expanding on kind of what you're experiencing, though, we may be able to raise a support ticket if there's a bug going on.
Yes, and something to note also with the current Hudu Assistant version, they are going to be related to the assets at this time. So there are more plans to expand on this as well. Just know that we are always happy to hear feedback and make sure that we are expanding on these features. Just because we release something doesn't mean that we're done. I'm sure you've all seen the expansion to our other features, especially the browser extension and mobile app. We always want to make sure that we're giving you the most fullest version of features and things that we hear from you all.
Yeah, absolutely. And expanding on that a little bit more, like Sam said, it's currently available on certain parts when you're in the integration. It's not yet available on a ticket. That is part of the future plans, like he mentioned, but it should be available in those 4 integrations when you're viewing companies, contacts, or any assets like devices within those integrations.
Yeah, and just to reinstate as well, so it is going to be available, or sorry, it is currently available for Halo, Autotask, Ninja, and Synchro. So if you currently have those integrations, just know that having the browser extension is how you get started with using Hudu Assist. It's a very seamless update to the system, so that way you already have the compatibility, you're already up to date, and you can already use those features. We did have a quick question on that. But Jordan, how about we switch this over as questions are kind of slowing down a little bit, and I can answer those on the side while you're going through if you want to start talking about the well, cool things coming up.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Looks like we had one last question on ConnectWise PSA Assist. We're kind of looking into that still. ConnectWise has their own kind of development cycle of what they call pods. So kind of evaluating whether we want to release Assist as it is in the other integrations or go the approach of the pod. We hopefully should have some additional information pretty soon on that though. But cool. So yeah, kind of looking ahead at my section and what I'm going to be focusing on is the latest developments that our team is currently working on and what you can look forward to hopefully very soon with our planned features. I do also have a little bit of announcement about a conference as well. So fun things. Starting off with our in-progress updates, a highly requested feature, we're enhancing our data tables. So this is currently in progress and slated to be in our next release, barring no setbacks, but we're hoping to get it out at the beginning of April. That it's going to be our data tables, and this will span across nearly every table inside of Hudu. So assets and passwords, KBs, admin level tables as well. This update's going to include the ability to sort those tables based on those columns, hopefully making it really easy to organize your information with a simple click, as well as the ability to set default items per page. We know this has been a nuisance for a lot of people. We don't have those sticky defaults per page. You will be able to with the new data table update. Our goal with this really is to improve how you're viewing that data, making navigation through those larger data sets as simple as possible and being able to view as much information on a single screen as you can. Next up is the mobile photos. So we did recently just release our new mobile app and we've had great feedback on it, but we've got more feedback coming in and we want to be able to really hit on that feedback. One of those is the ability to take photos and upload and manage photos from the mobile app, hitting on our photo library feature that we recently introduced a few months ago in an update. We understand that photos are a big part of having an iPhone or an Android, so being able to use the Hudu app for those photos is what we're focusing on as well. Next up is our permission overhaul. So this has been a very big update for Hudu, and we have been working tremendously hard on trying to get this right, as it could have some consequences, permissioning and everything, but we are getting very close to being able to release this, and we're very happy with the results of it. Our goal with this is to provide finer control over your team's access, and it's going to include things like the ability to add users to multiple groups, a highly requested feature, the ability to set inheritance for child items, being able to lock permissions. So if you have folder permissions set, you can lock those permissions, and now all of the articles within that folder, articles or passwords actually, will adopt or inherit those permissions. And then a general just better UI and UX of those features. I'm sure this one will have quite a few questions. So if you do have questions, please throw those in the chat or the Q&A, and I'll try and hit as many as I can. but very excited for this feature. Next up, on the integration side of things, I think we had a question already come up about it, but our new Unify integration, this is a really cool feature because it's one of our build a feature requests. So if you haven't noticed, we are expanding on our community Reddit, our subreddit, our Hudu, and trying to bring some build a features into the Reddit so that we can get additional feedback in real time with our customers on what they'd like to see with what we're building. The latest is that Unify integration, enhancing network management capabilities within our platform. The major ticket items, and I'll just list a few because there are a lot. We've already been, I think, about a month into the Reddit development. So we've gotten a lot of feedback already on it. But the biggest things are going to be building or bringing in Unify sites as Hudu companies, bringing in those unified devices, bringing in the network config and network information, and then port forwards. That information, a lot of the Unify information can auto-populate the IPAM feature. So we're really excited to show this off in the beta format and get some additional feedback once you get a chance to use it, and then hopefully release it shortly after. Next up is the Ninja rework. So as Sam mentioned with ConnectWise Manage, we are working to upgrade all of our integrations in updates as they come. The next two are the Ninja and the Aavik ones. Not only will this just make the integrations overall quicker and better, they're also going to add some essential features like auto renaming devices inside of Hudu, as well as auto archiving. And as Sam mentioned, we're not going to just stop at Ninja and Aavik. We do have plans to release them to all of our integrations in the coming updates and releases. I think we're currently at about 8 of ours, but we'll be hitting all the rest as soon as we can. And Sam, if you want to skip to the next slide, we'll go through some upcoming or planned features. So these are features that we do have plans to. We're not currently in progress, but we are kind of thinking of these as our next upcoming ones. So you should be seeing them in pretty soon releases, probably end of April timeline and the rest of Q2. First up is the IPAM enhancements. So our first feature that we built on Reddit with our community was IPAM. We'd like to continue rolling on this update as it's been such a popular one, and it's been so cool to see all of the information that people are documenting now with it, how they're using it, and we'd like to expand on this. Next up, pretty highly requested one is that keyboard shortcuts. So just adding additional shortcuts, hopefully being able to customize which shortcuts you'd like to do what, and designed to make your workflow a little bit quicker. KB tagging and mention linking is next up. So this is a pretty popular one, being able to categorize your KB articles utilizing tags. Folders are currently possible, but adding that extra organization with tags is going to be really important, as well as it allows us to expand on capabilities like Hudu Assist and other products that we're using by utilizing those tags to enhance the search results. Next up, I think this is kind of the trend in the industry, but we'd like to expand on the AI abilities throughout Hudu to bring you smarter and more responsive tools. So just like KB tags will help with the search results, we're hoping to utilize AI to enhance those search results and make finding information a little bit easier and more intelligent for you. And then on the mobile side of things, we are going to be bringing assets. So we've got our mobile photos in progress right now. Next up on the slate is going to be bringing assets into the mobile app, which should finalize just about having everything inside of the mobile app. But assets will be now available on the go. We're hoping to have this out pretty soon, again, after that Photos mobile update. And on the other side of things with the integrations, the two new ones that we are planning are Meraki and Cloudflare. These are really sweet integrations, and they're not done very much or often in our space. So we'd like to be able to bring that information into Hudu and allow you to document information on those devices. And then back to the overhauls, we've got Domots next on the slate to be improved overall, add those auto naming and auto archiving features. Cool. That pretty much kind of covers the in progress and the upcoming. I'll switch over to the announcements real quick, and then we'll have some time to go through Q&A, as I'm sure there's a lot of questions filing in on some of these that I'd be happy to answer. Sam, if you don't mind going to the next slide for me. So our exciting news and announcement is we are going to MSPGeek Con on May 19th through the 21st. This is in Orlando, Florida. We are going to be at booth 215. On the screen, you can see where we'll be if you want to take a screenshot of something so you know exactly where Hudu's going to be at. But please come by, check us out, have a chat with the team, and ask any questions really regarding anything, documentation, Hudu, upcoming features. We'd love to be able to answer it. We'll have staff there to demo the product if you're new to Hudu, and really just answer any questions that we can for you.
Yeah, and Jordan, do we also want to mention who's going to be there with us?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, just quickly starting off, so it will be Jordan and I, as I'm sure many of you probably expected as well. But Jacob and John Hart will also be joining us. So, if you are curious about Hudu, the in-depth processes, and really just Hudu itself, we're going to have some incredible people. I mean, the people who've really founded Hudu. So, if you're curious about it, you really have questions, and you want to come chat with us, we are available and always happy to have a conversation with all of you. It was awesome at IT Nation being able to engage with people coming by and all of that great stuff. So please, if you see us, don't hesitate to ask us any questions that you're curious about. We're always happy to have a conversation.
And we do have a discount code if you're looking to purchase MSP Geek Con tickets. If you haven't already, you can get 10% off by utilizing the code Hudu, Hudu, in all lowercase. Again, that's 10% off any of the MSP Geek Con tickets. Cool. I believe that pretty much covers it. So we'll open it up to questions. That way I can kind of focus on those and answer any that you all have. But please feel free to throw those in the chat in the Q&A, and we'll try to hit as many as we can.
Yeah, and also as we're kind of just nearing the end of this initial webinar with all of you, I also want to state that really the biggest goal of this is to make sure you know what's going on, the features that we are working on, so that way you know that we are listening, we are implementing new things, and also just a summary of what's been in progress. Now, as we plan to do more of these, if there's something that you would really like to see out of these conversations with you all, especially just making it more open-ended for asking us questions in conversation, if there's something that you would really like to hear from Hudu more about as we continue these types of updates, please let us know. We want to make sure that these are beneficial for you all joining us, that you are aware of what we're thinking and talking about behind the scenes. As much as we'd love to share everything, we can only give you little bits of info at a time. But again, if there's something that you really want to hear from us, let us know. So that way we're always making sure we can get something for you.
Looks like David's got a question on Gorilla integration. I have seen this on the feedback page. I don't believe I've seen any plans or we've made any plans to include this. What I'd recommend is upvoting that on that feedback page, though. This is really how we drive what features and what integrations we put into the product. So that would be amazing if you can do that. And anybody else looking to have that integration.
And then we have a really good question too about, is there any sort of plans for making a user submitted template for assets and the items like that? And this is actually a really good question. Having more accessible community resources is something that's very much on our mind at Hudu. Now, the best way to utilize that and deploy it as well is certainly something that we're considering. So, Jack, I don't have any direct answer for you right now, but I will let you know those community resources, making sure that people have these templates and assets that are being used by the community are absolutely a resource we're considering and trying to find the best way to make sure everyone else gets the information that benefits them. You will be seeing more focused educational based content from us as well, making sure that with lots of features, use cases, and items, that way we can make sure that there's as much clarity around our features and how to use them as possible.
Looks like we got a question as well. If there are more selectable columns in the asset overview, I believe if I'm understanding this correctly, that is what our data tables is going to go ahead and do. It's going to allow you to sort based on all of those columns that you choose to be in the asset. So if you chose a field, say a confidential text field to show in the list, you'd be able to sort based on those column headers. If it's just adding more columns to the asset overview, you can add any of the fields by selecting that show in list in the asset layout field settings. Joseph, got a question on being able to embed the Hudu process page in the portal. Any plans to make this embeddable? I don't believe I've seen this in our plans in progress or anything, or sorry, upcoming. But it's actually a really neat idea. I'd highly recommend requesting that on our feedback page. We, again, are going to be taking a look at that external sharing portal very soon so we can make updates to it. We know it is lacking a little bit behind the main product, so we'd like to really expand on the functionality there, and being able to collect as much feedback as we possibly can before we start that update is amazing for us. That would probably also be a build a feature request on our Reddit. It's a great one to collect all that feedback for.
Oh, well, perfect. We're just about at time for today, and it seems like we're kind of all set on the question side. So I think for today, we're going to wrap it up from here. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We will have the recording available a couple days after this. So if you ever want to go back, hear what we've talked about and those features, we'll make sure that's all accessible. And then actually, we have one last question coming in. I'll do a quick pause and we'll have this be the last one. Jordan, if you want to take a quick look, and then we'll wrap out for today.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk about processes, how processes should work in the context of a ConnectWise managed ticket. Ticket comes in, points to a process in Hudu. How do you track the progress for them in a ticket? Right now, the best way is to be utilizing the copy completed tasks. That's kind of the main function of the ticket, or of that feature within our processes. We'd love to be able to sync processes back and forth between our PSA and our really PSA integrations, and something that we have looked into. Right now, though, copying that completed task and entering those details into the ticket is the best way to go ahead and accomplish that.
All right, perfect. I saw that come in last minute. I didn't want, obviously, someone had been typing for a second, so that was bad timing on my part. But again, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like I said, we're going to have this recording posted and we'll make sure to follow up as well. So you all have a great rest of your day, and keep following us on our blog and our socials. We will be continuing to be posting updates and new items going forward. So we look forward to doing this again and chatting with you all. And we'll chat soon, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Please feel free to reach out if we didn't get to your questions. Bye.